All right, and we're live with another great episode. I have Minister Zumbi with me. I have Queen J with me. We also have another guest who's going to be popping on. Get ready for another great episode of Get On Code. All right, welcome to Get On Code, the Fly Guy Show, which is a series of melanated conversations focused on empowerment, health, wealth, and knowledge of self.
People think in binary choices because they are conditioned to.
And on the wall was a picture of a wolf and a lion. I think the wolf was the Democratic Party, the lion was the Republicans.
But the drug trade and all these illegal stuff that people do, that's still economics. It's just that they couldn't do it in a traditional system.
We're talking about melanated wealth.
So we can build wealth, but we just, for some reason, don't seem to be able to transfer it.
You had a great experience. Fine. That means nothing.
What were you told as a child about education? You had to be how many times better?
Every impression without an expression becomes depression.
All right, it's time to get on code, and the code is empowerment. The code is empowerment. It's kind of based on, the Honorable Neely Fuller's compensatory code for the Negro, but we kind of just shrink all of that down and compress it into the concept of empowerment, where everything that we're focused on is empowering yourself in a tangible manner. We're not talking about inspirational. A lot of people get inspirational mixed up with empowerment. We're talking about actual, real, tangible empowerment. And today, it's kind of like the author's version. We have two of the greatest authors on the planet with us. To my right, Minister Zumbi. What's up, bruh? How you doing?
Peace and blessings.
Right. Good stuff. Good stuff. He's the author of the excellent manifesto on how we should be doing things correctly financially. The Gospel of Afro-Nomics Theology. And look, get ready. Be ye prepared. Batten down the hatchets. On the foundation. She's not on the bottom. She's the foundation. We have the author of Stop Effing Settling. Woo, Queen J. How's it do? What it do?
Good day. Good day. I'm good. You're so funny. Don't be hyping me out like that.
Well, look, we've talked about the Gospel of Afro-Nomics Theology numerous times because that's our manifesto here. But tell us about your Stop Effing Settling.
Oh, my. Okay, well, my little baby. This is just my reflections, really. This is just me and how I got to where I am. Me and my lovely 36 years of life that have been a blessing and lessons, of course. And it's just my life experiences and all that I've learned and what I appreciate learning from it. Talk about purpose. I talk about influence, things of that nature. Just all the things that make up, individuals, and just being able to, walk in your purpose and no one else's, because I've always walked and marched and danced and bobbed to my own beat of all of my drum set that I have. So, I own all my shit that I do, and I do it, in purpose. So it is what it is. And I want people to be able to, not have shame and regret and resentment and all that other good stuff that people walk around with every day because they feel like they should be somewhere else, or they are doing a bunch of comparing and contrasting as we do as people, and feel like, okay, I'm where I am and this is cool because this is my walk, no one else's. And that's just it. Stop fucking settling, like I said. Because we have a purpose, everyone does, and we should be owning that and no one else's direction. So I feel like people settle on behalf of others a lot. All
right. So look, I know you said you want people to stop settling, but you also want something very specifically for us, for commonly called Black people. What do you want specifically for us. Yeah, I just took the lid off the can. Yep.
Well, I want us to regain our identity and purpose, and as a whole, and to, take back hold of our children, first and foremost, because they are our future. And, show different, break generational curses that have been going on for too long. And we know better, so we should be doing better. Things like that. Look, what you looking for? Are we talking about homeschool? What are we talking about? Because
see, that's the great thing about you. That's the great thing about you. You come with you're a lot. You come with a lot.
I tell people that all the time. I am definitely a lot, and I understand that. That's why, I stay in the house. But I'm at my sister's house today. So.
Salute to the fam. Salute to the fam.
Yeah.
Hey, look, one of my favorite artists, the City Girls, have a song called Kitty Talk.
I don't know that one. Oh my gosh.
No problem. I want to do a little author talk. And, I'm just going to let you talk about, what it was like creating this work of art. Stop effing settling. Because, that's deep. That's deep. Because one of the ways to empowerment is laying down a path, a road that others can follow. And you did that in this book. So, why don't you chat with us very quickly about, matter of fact, I'm going to let both of the authors have this author talk real quick. Tell us about that. What's good?
Well, this was a great release for me. I open a lot of people up to this. Like, I feel like a lot of people should write books, honestly. And I have a publishing company. So if you want to write a book, Glowing Up Publications, GLONUP Publications, come on and email me at gmail.com. And you can let me know what we can do to work together and get your story out, because everyone has a story. We're all walking narratives, and this was a release. So I appreciated it a lot. And letting go of things and moving forward is important. And I know that this will help aid in other people's healing. And that's what I hope it does, because that's the purpose of it, was for my healing and others. And for, understanding and growth, development, all that good stuff. So, like, this book helped me. Call, and he's probably going to try to call 3.
Okay. Well, for me, I go back to an ancestor, Dr. Miles Monroe, and he was given a workshop about how to write and publish a book. And he was telling the story about how he was given a workshop in Tulsa, Oklahoma, about being single. And there was a representative from a publishing company in the audience who approached him and said, "That's the greatest perspective I've ever heard on that topic. We need to put this in a book." He was reluctant. He says, "Look, here's my card. Think about it." He goes back to his hotel. He was tossing and turning. And then he said God told him 3 reasons to write this book. And I'll skip to the third one. The third reason, according to Dr. Monroe, God told him, if you do not write this book, you are a generational thief. Because what you're doing is that you're keeping it all inside you and then taking it with you to the grave, not leaving anything for the next generation.
Ooh.
That was kind of my driving force when I initially wrote GOAT, because I think what happens is we don't think beyond ourselves, and we need to begin to start leaving not only legacies, but blueprints to make sure those future generations don't make the same mistakes that we made and previous generations made. In my book, I write a letter. Yeah. And last thing, I wrote in my book, I wrote a letter to all African men. And I said, as much as I love Malcolm, he made the mistake of placing the welfare of his family in the hands or at the mercy of somebody else's generosity or lack thereof. And he even lamented that he felt that he failed as a provider for Sister Betty and the children. Fortunately, he was able to set up a situation where no matter what happened to him, the family would receive royalties from the book. So how do we ensure, as everybody writes their book, that that book will outlive them? So that was kind of the driving force for me in writing Go.
All right, well, let's continue with this author talk. Speaking of leaving a blueprint, I have with me the 12 Universal Laws of Success, Dr. Herbert Harris. He was on the show before. I dug his stuff. I've been learning from him. I've been actually taking that blueprint. You know, you talked about leaving a blueprint. You know, when we look at our Kemetic ancestors, we look at our Nubian ancestors, they left blueprints etched in stone. You know what I'm saying? And so etched in paper, and hopefully we got to get it etched in stone somehow, man. We got to make sure this survives the millennia. We have with us the good elder. I'm going to call him Elder Young Stuff because he likes to act like he's young.
I am young.
So look, Dr. Herbert Harris is the author of tonight's focus, the 12 Universal Laws of Success. We have with us Queen J. She's the author of the interesting memoir, Stop Effing Settling. I'll let her say the whole thing. And we have with us, of course, you know, the great Minister Zumbi. But tonight, man, we're going to learn from the millionaire mentor. You know, you deal with metaphysics, millionaires, and laws for success. So why don't we start with the metaphysics piece, then we'll go into the millionaire stuff, what you do with millionaires, and then we'll go into the laws for success. And Queen J has been listening to your audio book of this, so we're all kind of, you know, Zumbi introduced me to the book. Queen J's been listening to her audio version, and now we have you on the podcast, man. So good to have you on Get on Code. Let's get on code. Talk to us about metaphysics, man.
Well, you know, Seiko, it's all one thing, really. You know, the idea of metaphysics is that physics is like the study of, you might say, physical phenomenon. Metaphysics is really beyond the physical phenomenon to the spiritual phenomenon. But in reality, it's all one thing. You know, we are, for example, we as human beings are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so everything that exists already exists in a spiritual form, and spiritual is also intertwined with energy. Everything has a vibration. Everything, a rock has a vibration, a bird has a vibration. I have vibrations, not only on a physical level, but on a spiritual, on a mental, on an emotional level. And so the idea of metaphysics now ties it all together, that it's one thing. And so when we feel something, for example, in our emotional level, it creates a vibration, which then resonates with the whole universe, attracting into our space that which is congruent with that feeling. A thought has a vibration. It attracts into our space a thought that is congruent with that, a result that is congruent with that thought. And so the idea of metaphysics is it's all one thing. It's all the manifestation of a powerful truth that will touch people in a way that makes them one with the universe.
I hadn't heard metaphysics described in that manner before.
Well, it's very practical. You know, sometimes ideas can be elevated so high in people's talk that they don't necessarily comprehend the idea in its reality, in its manifestation. So we can talk metaphysics, but when we realize that we live metaphysics, the fact that we're alive means that we're a vibration and we're a part of that overall universe. Principles, the universe operates on order, time, and choice. And so we have the order and the principles of how things work. You know, that there's a specific way that things go down. Time, things happen over a period of time, which is something that we comprehend. There is absolute time, which is always the now. In the God mind, in the spiritual mind, there's no past or future. There's always only now. It is our comprehension of it that gives a past, present, and future connotation to it. It's like a song is always playing. The song is always playing. We may or may not hear it, but the song is always playing. Time always exists. We respond to it based on how we connect with it.
All right. So how does that? How do we bring that high edge thinking into our daily lives? Like, look, Jay's a parent. Queen Jay's a parent. You know. So how does she bring metaphysics into parenting?
Well, better people make better parents.
Hold on. Wait. Say that again.
Better people make better parents. And, you know, there's no parenting book. You know, you get books that other people have written about parenting, but on a spiritual level, parenting is something that we bring with us. The ideas of, you know, nobody has to teach a bird how to take care of its young, how to nurture its young till it gets to a certain point where it's independent. Nobody has to teach a squirrel to collect nuts for a winter never experienced. But man is unique in the sense that because we have this profound spiritual connection and we might say emotional and thought possibilities, that we can forget what we should have known. So nobody has to teach the birds. In the Bible it says that the lilies of the field, they want not, you know, they create a life that even Solomon would be proud of. And so the whole idea of parenting, we come into an environment where we are literally like the miseducation of the black man. We come into an environment where we have learned stuff about parenting, about being a mother, about being a father, which from the environment point of view is pretty radical and pretty negative. And so as a person learns who they are, as a person learns that you become what you think about most of the time, that you can transform your life by transforming your thinking, that if you have a vision and you write that vision, you can manifest that vision in your life. So as a parent, when we look at our kids, you say, well, you know what? If I transform my thinking, that children pick up what I do, even more so than what I say. And so if I transform my thinking so that I'm only thinking positive things, I'm only saying good things, I'm only saying uplifting things, that transforms to change my children to operate on that vibration. So as we become better people, as we take control of our lives, take control of our thoughts, take control of our emotions, many times people have experienced such trauma in their early years that trauma persists into later years. And so now as a parent, that trauma can keep coming through. And so the laws of success says, hey, you can change your life by changing your thinking. You can change your emotions by reprogramming your mind, by understanding that the better I get as a person, the more capable I am as a parent.
I just had to let that marinate. I had to let that marinate. That deserved about 10 seconds of
Yes. Well, you know, Sekou, we worked for 4 years in public housing, and we taught parenting classes. We taught over 1,000 parents, and we were the only ones that would go to the projects to teach the kids and teach the parents. And when we talk about metaphysics, what we found was that when the parents would come into the community center there in the projects, we tried to remove all those impediments. You know? So, for example, not understanding the financial situation of somebody in the project. So we said, well, look, if you come to the class, we're going to pay you. We're not going to call it a salary. We're going to call it a stipend. If you were working on your doctorate, they give you a stipend. You go to college, they give you a stipend. So when you come to school with us in the project, let us give you a stipend. That stipend wasn't a big, but to a parent, that meant that they didn't have to cook dinner. It was enough money that they could come there that night and give us about 2 hours of their time. We provided childcare. But one of the interesting things we realized, we did interactive training. So we would have the parents, when they'd come in, we realized they needed to disconnect because in some instances it was a negative environment. So let us start with a meditation. Let us take a deep breath. Let us relax ourselves. Let us program ourselves to be open and receptive to the knowledge they're getting ready to experience. In our teaching, we did what we call it super learning. We just don't give you an idea. We let you say the idea and let you do an affirmation on the idea. So when the kids would come and they'd hear the parents and they're doing all the affirmations, they didn't want to stand there and play games. They wanted to come inside. So we found that the kids and the parents could be educated together. The kids came in and we said, look, well, you can come in, but you got to play by the rules. And so while there were little kids who would come in, they were too small to get up at the desk. They'd be out on the floor. They wanted a notebook too. If mama has a notebook, I want a notebook. And next thing you know, when they do the affirmations, the kids are doing the affirmations. So it was a learning experience created in a vibration of understanding. We sort of became a shield around the parents so that the system could not come in and do what it so often does. People who never walked a mile in your shoes are going to come into the projects and try to teach you how to live. I don't understand why you all do that. That's because you never walked a mile in my shoes. That's because you never understood and felt the vibrations that impact my life. So it was an interesting experience, and that was our mantra, that better people make better parents. And as we took it all the way through, our topics were, the first idea was self-image, how you see yourself. Because so many times we see ourselves in a way that we've been programmed to see ourselves. Brother Zumbi, I know in his really documentary work, a lot of the thoughts that he's sharing in there goes against the grain of what we've been told before. Okay. And so self-image, we talk about attitude. That a parent, why don't you go to school to help your kids? We would ask open-ended questions. And one parent said, well, I don't go to school because I get arrested every time I go there. That was a shocker. And so not only did they learn from us, we learned from them. Why do you get arrested? Because I go there and I get into a thing with the teacher. I get into a thing with the principal, So I'm going there with a certain attitude now that creates this response in those people. So let me now reprogram my attitude. Let me go in with my communication skills. Let me look at how to set my goals. What are my goals for my children? What do I expect from you people at school? You're all so busy disciplining the kids. Let me ask you, let me check if you're doing your job. Are you teaching them what they need to know to be successful, or are you just trying to keep them in their seats? Many of the kids shared with us when we really worked with them, and I'm glad we did it over a 4-year period because it gave us a chance to understand what they were saying. When you work with people, you may be teaching them, but if you're a good teacher, they're going to be teaching you. If it's only one way, then you ain't a good teacher. Okay. So when over that period of time, we saw things like the fact that parents were intimidated by going to school because the schools treated them a certain kind of way. And so by the time the parent came there, they were already an adversary. So how do we deal with that? Let's create some buffers. Let's create some zones where parents and teachers and administrators can come together as regular people. When I walk in the door, you already have a mindset. And so when we start approaching things from that level, from an energy relationship, if I control my energy as a parent to a certain way and I come into the school, I'm not going to let you put me off course, because I have a goal now for my children. I came here for a purpose. So I know now how to put you on in check, not so you arrest me, but so you respect me. So the 12 Universal Laws of Success was our manual, our training manual.
Wow.
And
hold up. I know you. I know we let you go when you go. But Jay, you're muted. You're muted, Queen. I'm not sure why. How does that hit as a parent? How does that hit as an educator? Queen J, how does that hit as a parent and as yeah. And once again, you still muted. I'm not sure what it is. Zumbi, bro. Now, Zumbi, you connected me with, Dr. Herbert Harris. Are you still blown away by his concepts? I guess it got him frozen.
I know. Is everybody? Am I back? Hello.
Yes.
Can you?
back,
okay.
Back and beautiful. All right. So come with
that
it.
was awesome. No. Yes. I'm all about the school and the parent relationship. And, my reasoning for that's one of my reasonings for wanting to homeschool or advocate for a homeschool, because of that lack of communication. And I feel like it's more on the school part of not knowing how to reach, like Dr. Herbert Harris said. They have to build relationships outside of the school with these parents. They have to go into these communities. It's just not about them being in the seat for testing. It should be about, okay, we're actually trying to raise these individuals as individuals. But it's not like that. So they don't go into the communities and have carnivals or a barbecue or anything, just anything. Just summertime, just things that show them that they do care beyond them being a number. And the food little programs and all that stuff they do that because they get money for that. So it's not them showing care. So I'm not going to get aggressive, but yeah, I totally understand and respect everything he said.
Understood. She's not going to get aggressive.
Yeah, because I'm still so passionate about that. So it's like I'm still trying to calm down when I talk about public school system as a whole, because it's still fresh. Look, too soon.
Yeah. But when you think back at the school system, when we were writing Solving the Race Issue in America, I came through the 50s and the 60s. And so I went to segregated schools. And so think about this. In 1954, Brown versus the Board of Education, the Supreme Court said you had to desegregate the schools. Many of the school systems, the administrators fought that. In my county, I'm in North Carolina, they fought it for 14 years. So even though the law came down in 1954, they fought it in court. So it was not implemented until 1968, 14 years later. And so, but the interesting was the same people who had fought the law, who wanted to maintain a segregated school system, were still in charge. So when you come into the integrated schools, they were still in charge. And so they still saw the world from where they were, which was not a world of equity and a world of justice. There's an old saying that a mind changed against its will is of the same opinion still.
Well, I'm about to write that down.
So we come up to today, and we find that there's no place in college that can educate most of them about how to come and deal with Black students, because Black students come to school with a completely different experience. In segregated schools, the one thing you felt and you believed in the bottom of your heart was that teacher cared about your instruction. And so if she talked harshly to you, you really felt that it was for your own good. to make you a better student, to warn you about things you needed to know about. But when you come into a hostile system, I mean, during that transition, black students would be in classes and the white teachers wouldn't even look at them to talk to them in the class. Rather than looking at the student, they'd look out the window and forget asking a question. Okay? Forget asking a question. They're not going to ask a question. And so it was almost like a stranger in a strange land, a hostile environment. And so as we come forward today, let's come up to today, the same thing is happening. We worked with the school system 10, 15 years ago, and the same things are happening right now.
Yes, sir.
The suspension rate is higher for black students. When we worked with some of the young students, we were teaching a class, and we told the students to sit up, pay attention. And they said, well, why are you doing this? Where are you coming from, Doc? I said, well, what do you mean? He said, in school, they let us put our head down and sleep. Because in school, their main thing was to keep order, not to educate. And so if you kept your head down and slept, you didn't disrupt the class. And other people could be educated. You lost out, but that's just a casualty. And so when you look at it like that, it's a big dilemma. How can a teacher teach if a child is disruptive? Well, why is that child disruptive? Yeah. So to go back to the roots of what the issues are, what the time is, and what the cause is. So this whole metaphysical approach was always saying, let's deal with the energy, let's deal with the vibration. And so if you're communicating with me, we had a session once. We had a white principal, and she really didn't understand. I mean, I had gone to the school, and this kid was about 8 years old, and they had his desk duct taped to the floor. And so I saw that, I didn't even have words. What do you say? You walk in a classroom and a desk is duct taped to the floor. So I asked her, I said, well, why is that? What's this? She said, oh, because this little kid, he'll throw that desk at people. Like, he's 8 years old.
Why was he so angry?
Yeah, and what's up with that? And what it was is they had never established a level of communication. When the kid came in, his name was whatever, Daquan. And anyway, the teacher pronounced it wrong. Daquan, of course, responded, that's not my name. Okay. So the teacher said, well, what? I'm not going to call his name anymore. I'll never call on this kid. And so you got no communication, and you got an environment there where this child is trying to learn, but the environment is so hostile, he can't learn. We got that group of teachers together and said, like, what is going on here? Why are you people angry? None of the teachers want to say why. We're not angry. We're just trying to educate. And we went back, and one of the principals, one of the ladies, she was a white lady, and we got back. We kept going beyond. She said, well, what is it that you really feel about black students? And we went back, and a lot of her mindset was based on the fact that when she was in the 12th grade, their school integrated. And because of integration, they didn't want black kids and white kids dancing together. So they canceled the prom. And she was mad. She blamed the black kids for canceling the prom.
Wow, that's deep. She was holding on to that as a principal?
All those years.
Oh, wow.
All those years. And so many times you find trauma, stuff like that. When she saw it, she said, my God. She said, I didn't realize how much it impacted me. We never went there before to find that everything has a seed. So back to the metaphysical part. The Bible says you can't get a good fruit out of a corrupt tree. And a corrupt tree will not produce a good fruit. And so the thoughts that people have are like seeds in their mind planted there during different times of trauma, and emotional interaction. Those seeds grow and impact every part of your life. So, I mean, when we look at the world from that point of view, so everybody's a vibration. So if I'm not communicating with this child, it's because we have a different vibration level. How can I connect with his vibration? I can't demand it. I can't order it. I can only build the vibrations by trust and respect. So when we got the kids and the parents and administrators together in one room, and we would do different sessions, and man, as that thing began to roll out, everybody was transformed. The teachers were transformed. The students were transformed. But it's very something. We learned something from that. Minister Zumbi, we learned, I'm not a nonprofit person. You know, it always puzzled me why many young people want to set up nonprofits to address poverty and ill. And that's a good idea. But you'll have people come from 12,000 miles away to open a store where we're trying to get a grant. Or they'll come here and open a store where we're trying to get a job. Okay. So
wait. We got to rewind. That point was salient. I think you got to say it again. I got to say it again.
My question was, why do we think in this nonprofit mind, why do we have people come 12,000 miles to open a store on our corner and sell goods to us and make money for themselves? And we go pursuing a nonprofit to ask somebody to give us some money to change our condition. If we make the money, we can change our condition ourselves. And so what I learned on that, I was not against nonprofits, but that project was so big. When we talk about reparations, that project was about as close to, you might say, a mindset of not reparations, but a mindset of atonement. You know, we talk about, when we look at the spiritual approach to dealing with racism, first you got to acknowledge it, then you got to ask forgiveness, and then you have to make atonement. And so reparations is like a shadow of atonement. Atonement is about how do you make it right. And that grant was a massive grant. It was a $12 million grant, a 4-year grant, and it attacked the various illnesses or areas. It was a coordinated effort between the Housing Authority, the Board of Education, the Welfare Department, the community college, and we all put it all together. And so at the end of the 4-year period, we could say we impacted 1,000 families. I'd be out sometimes at the mall, and I'd run into a young lady or a couple, and they say like, "Oh, Dr. Harris, you know, we got our house," because we took them all the way through. We had credit counseling and budgeting and stuff like that too. These are all things that people didn't learn. And with young people, with children having children, you know, Brother Sekou, we were talking about generational knowledge. And so my parents were business people. My daddy, he had a beer joint, you know. I think now it might be called an after-hours joint. Okay, but he ran a business. I'm not even sure if it was legal at the time. I didn't understand, but I know he ran a business. Okay. My mother was a school teacher, but she also owned real estate. She taught music. They were like entrepreneurs. Okay? So they taught me stuff like how to balance a checkbook and, you know, all the basics, the fundamentals of money, of budgeting. Okay? But if you came from another environment, a 18-year-old having a child who's and the 18-year-old's mother had her when she was 19. And so you get this generational thing. Plus you have a system that almost makes the recipient of the monies from the system almost makes them give up their humanity in so many ways. So now we attacked it from all the levels. So we attacked it from education. With the folks on welfare, we worked out programs saying that they're going to cut you off welfare in 5 years. Okay, well, let us prepare you to get a job. We worked with the with the welfare department and the community college to get them prepared to get into the job market. So at the end of the 4 years, we had done so much, so good, so well, and we had such incredible results that we thought that the next renewal of the grant would not only be a renewal, but it would be bigger than 12 million. It would give us the chance now to expand, because we were just operating in one county. We had a model that worked. We get downtown and they denied the grant. I said, well, wait a minute, hold on. I thought the goal was to help people. I thought the goal was to transform people into a new life. Why you deny? Well, I mean, we see you got a good track record and we know you got good results, but we thought we want to give somebody else a chance. We didn't give somebody else a chance. We've demonstrated we can change things. And then I realized that, I think Malcolm said, the people who imprison you are not going to finance your liberation.
I do believe that came from him.
And so this whole grant thing, it does some good. I'm not knocking it, but it's like we got to be clear on what the reality of it is. And so they discontinued the program and gave it to somebody else. And so whatever we had built on was gone. Those who were helped. So we did some good, but it made me understand that many times that idea of granting and is not, it's being done for their purpose, not necessarily your purpose.
Got you. Hey, Minister Zumbi, man, you really blessed us by connecting us with, Dr. Herbert Harris. What say you, bro? Any thoughts? You gotta unmute. While you're working on that, man, I want to say, Doc, you just shared something that you're right. I know a lot of people who are working towards not-for-profit, and that's making me rethink a lot of the things. So I want to get down to the meat and potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
The 12 universal laws of success. I started teaching this with some of my students before the school year ended, and they were kind of blown away. Why don't you take us through the 12 universal laws of success? And when you use the term universal, what are you really saying, man? Are you saying this crosses all cultures? Are you saying that every planet in the universe has these success models? What gives, man?
All cultures, all places, it's just like gravity. Gravity is the same here as it is in China. These universal principles work everywhere. This book has been translated into 9 languages. As a matter of fact, there's a Chinese version, there's a Saudi Arabian version, a Romanian version, an Italian version, a French version, because it's the same. Life is the same. Think about this. Everybody understands a smile. We may have different languages and we don't know the mechanics of communication, but everybody understands a smile because that's a transference of energy. So the 12 universal laws are universal principles that work for everybody, everywhere. They're principles just like gravity. They have there are ways to see it, because gravity is like an absolute principle as we understand it. It's not really, but if you jump out the window, you're always going to fall. Okay. But when we look at the first law of success is the law of thought. And the thought is that the scripture says that a mind shall have whatsoever it thinks in its heart. So there's the thought that you have, the ability to form an idea, okay, is controlled and impacted by how you feel about that idea and how you feel about yourself. So that first law of success says that you become what you think about most of the time. So as a young person, if you sit chilling and listening to music all day long and not actively using your mind, actively thinking, then the results that you're going to get are going to be accordingly. So that's the first law of success, that our thinking determines our lives. our thinking, and our feelings. Second law of success, the law of change. Be not conformed to this world. And that simply means that whatever your condition, I mean, many of us in our lives, we can live some terrible situations. We can be going through some challenges. And the second law of success says that if you want to change your condition, change your thinking. Be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind to think a new thought now. How do you want your world to be? How do you want it to look? How do you want people to treat you? The third law of success is the law of vision. And this, when we talked about metaphysics, this is that coming together. The law of vision says, of course, write the vision, make it plain, but there's so many aspects of vision. You know, there's vision of what you see. There's vision in your imagination. Okay. And so the principle, though, says that whatever your vision is, if you write it down, don't worry about whether it's impossible. Well, when people say stuff is impossible, I tell them it's only that it hasn't been done yet. Many of the things we thought were impossible have been done. The 4-minute mile was an impossibility. Yeah. Brother Zumbi, you know, the fact that a person is heading to become a trillionaire, you know, a billionaire. When I was a kid, man, my thing, man, if I could just make $1 million, I mean, that every issue I had would be pretty much taken care of, you know. But if you think about it, $1 billion is 1,000 million. Even in the old days when John Rockefeller and that group set up Standard Oil, I think that was the first company capitalized at $1 billion. Even Andrew Carnegie, when he sold Carnegie Steel to U.S. Steel, that transaction was roughly like $450 million. And that was about the biggest transaction ever done. But now we got billionaires, people who have 1,000 million, 2,000 million, 5,000 million. So that was thought to be impossible. I mean, if you woke J.P. Morgan up and said, man, their guy's worth $5 billion now, he would look at you and say, that's impossible. So it just means that it hasn't been done yet. And so now let's tie in the spiritual aspect. That when we talk about metaphysics, we talk about 3 levels of mind. We talk about the conscious mind, what you think. We talk about the subconscious mind, which is a process to manifest what you think. And we talk about the superconscious mind, which is the God mind, the good mind, the universal mind that exists infinitely and completely and is omnipresent. The superconscious mind, everything exists at the same time. And so as we live our lives, we connect our conscious mind to our subconscious mind through our dreams, through our imagination, so that we can see things that, and the Bible says he calls those things that are not as though they were. And so the law of vision gives you a process by which you can take any thought that you have, any thought that you think you can have, that if you apply this process of writing it down and believing in it, having total faith, it can happen. So those 3 laws are the foundation for all things.
Okay.
I can go to the 4th law. Did you want me to stop there or continue?
I don't know. I simply don't know. I don't know. And I mean, number one, I want people to get their own copy of the book, right? The 12 Universal Laws of Success, Dr. Herbert Harris. But secondarily, I want to dive down a little deeper in one of the repeated themes I see. You deal with metaphysics, but I'm hearing you quote the Bible over and over and over. And when you use the term metaphysics, a lot of the people that I know who identify as Christian are put off by that. They're like, oh, that's the devil stuff. That's otherworldly. That's worldly. That's you know. But as a metaphysician, you're quoting the Bible.
Yes.
So for those who are uninitiated, tell me about the connection between metaphysical teachings and the canonized writings in the Bible.
That's a great question, brother. Number one, metaphysical truths are the foundation of all the religions. That if you really read the Bible and parallel read the Quran and parallel read the Bhagavad Gita and parallel read all of the spiritual texts, if you go through them, Confucius says, what you think you become. We become our thoughts. That there's the metaphysical principles are like the big picture. And each religion, each holy book is like an interpretation of the universal principles. And so Buddha will say, you change your thoughts, you change your thinking. The Quran says the same thing. And so the metaphysics is the universal principle, wherein the Bible is a conduit to understand that principle. I quote it because I'm a biblical scholar. That was my upbringing. I studied it, I learned it. And so, but I understand that the Bible, as with the Quran, with every other holy book, is basically giving you their interpretation of the universal metaphysical principles. So when Jesus says, for example, Jesus says, if you tell this mountain to be cast into the sea and doubt not, it's going into the sea. Metaphysical principle says, whatever thought that you have, whatever thought that you manifest, if you create the vibration congruent with that thought, you will always be able to manifest that which is congruent with your level of vibration. So when you say doubt not, in other words, if you have a pure thought, the moment you look at the mountain and say, I don't think I can do it, you're right. You can't. The Bible is like an interpretation of metaphysical principles, and Jesus demonstrates that when he walked on the water. Now, water is something that most people don't think they can walk on. Okay? But when he walked on the water, and when he then told Peter to come walk with me, Peter was able to walk on the water. And so metaphysically, that is saying that a thought that is in your mind that you can believe with such total absolute conviction. The definition of faith in every religion is faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So whatever thought you have, if you have that feeling, the faith in its manifestation, and doubt not, you can do it. So when Peter walked on the water, he was doing good until he looked down at his situation. So many times we'll be at a point where we can create great things. And we look at our situation, we're like, well, I'm black, I'm poor, I don't have this. When we look at our situation and define in terms of our past failures, and we sink, just like Peter did. When he looked down and said, oh my God, I can't walk on water. So metaphysics is the essence of truth, and religions are interpretations of the metaphysical and universal principles based on that particular mindset.
Thank you. I needed that deep dive, man. That's what I needed, but I'm sure that somebody else benefited from that as well.
That was awesome. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Wayne Dyer, but I listen to him daily. He is definitely a part of my meditation. But yeah, no, everything that you said, I cannot wait to get my book because I'm about to highlight this up. Like, oh my gosh. I've already started listening to the audiobook. I made it probably through about halfway. No, I'm not even going to say halfway, about 2 hours, because I want to say it's like 6 hours total.
Yes.
Yeah, so 2 hours I've made it through. But you're amazing. And I this is definitely something I see why Dr. DJ Seiko talks about it as he does, because it is something that needs to live on and needs to be taught. Honest.
Yes. Thank you.
This would be a part of a homeschool. Look, this would be a part of my homeschool curriculum.
Yeah. Well, I would recommend, we have something called the Success Mentorship Network. And what we've been doing, we have done, somewhere between 400 and 500 audios and classes and stuff. And we're uploading them into this Patreon membership site. And we have all of every Saturday morning we do a class. We call it the Success Mentorship class at 8 a.m. And those who are part of the network participate on Zoom. And at the end of the class, we have a discussion group. And man, things that come out of that discussion group is like, whoa.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But it's patreon.com/Success Mentorship Network.
Okay, so the elder has a Patreon. I'm telling you.
I know I don't even have
he
one.
don't think he an elder. he don't think he an elder. You know, he thinks that he's like 27. And I know that, you know, metaphysically, you are what you think you are.
He can. Yes, he is. If he feels he's 27, guess what? He's 27. Respect
Elder has a
it.
Patreon, y'all.
I love it.
He may not have hair, but he has a Patreon.
He just outgrew his hair. That's all. He outgrew it.
Oh, okay.
But let me tell you, I actually have hair. My hair is very long. I had to cut it off because my hair was curling in and into my pores and irritating the pores. And so the only way I could really treat it was just to cut my hair off. I don't have a problem. You know, we all go through transformation. You know, we don't have to look like people always think we look, but I grow hair like Superfly, man. You know, my curls be flailing in the wind.
All right now.
Okay. I can see I'm not gonna win this joke. I ain't winning this one. And Queen, you supposed to be on my side, but that's all right.
Because he's 27. You know I like him. You know I like him young. Don't do that.
I'm with you, yes.
Yo, that's love. That's love. Hey, so this is the author's edition. You know, we have author Dr. Herbert Harris, author of the great book 12 Universal Laws of Success. We have with us Queen J, and she has that great tell-all book.
Stop fucking settling. I talk about protecting your peace in there also, Dr. Herbert. Because it's important and people have to understand, but you go deeper. Wait, you go way deeper. I'm just on surface. Like y'all are awesome. I love you invite me to such great shows. Like you're amazing. Everybody's amazing. Yes,
That's
Dr. Herbert Harris is 27.
Yes.
Okay, so I love it. All that knowledge. You are.
Woo, the wonders of Viagra. 27 years old.
That's his business. Don't be playing. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Hey, you just validated.
First of all,
I just also want to say, I want to salute the good brother, Minister Zumbi, the author of The Gospel of Afro-Nomics Theology. So now we have 2 books, man. Now we have 3 books, man. We have 3 books that are kind of guiding this concept of focusing on empowerment.
Yes.
And so, we went through the foundation. We went through the foundational laws of success, the law of thought, the law of change, and the law of vision. On the back of the book, once you buy the book, you'll find that there's a law of command, the law of magnetism, law of focus, law of action, law of value, law of relationships, law of supply, law of persistence, and the law of truth. So today we kept it on the foundation, law of thought, law of change, and law of vision. So, hey, follow the law, get your copy of the book. Follow the law, get your copy of Stop Effing Settling. Hey, follow the law, get your copy of The Gospel of Afro-Nomics Theology, and follow the law, get on code. Get on code. And look, I want to end with Doc. I want to give you like 30, 45 seconds. And I just want to ask a real simple question. And I kind of prepped this a little earlier. And so, the question is, what are you doing differently than the generations that preceded you? Intentionally. What are you intentionally doing different than the generations that preceded you?
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one, I'm very conscious of the need to constantly grow. You know, I used to say, don't quit. I changed that to say, keep going and growing. That many of the generations before me, you don't have to settle, as the sister said, you don't have to settle by how they think you should act at a certain age.
Why you better?
You create that vision inside you. And so going forward, my goal is to one, be an example by creating my new mantra is Herbert Harris, the Renaissance man. And I was thinking back, and Renaissance means rebirth, the Renaissance period, the time of great learning and great expression. And so what I want to do differently is it's not just about learning for myself, that everything I learn is a seed to be planted in the consciousness of others. So being very aware of that now, I'm more selective about what I do, what I say, and what I share, because I know that whatever it is, it's a seed in somebody's consciousness and it will grow accordingly. And so my goal is to empower through transformation, through elevation, and through modeling the things that I believe in, that I believe will help others.
Well, you're wise for 27-year-old.
Yes, he is. He better speak. Oh my gosh. Yes. You're so amazing. I love you. Oh, I cannot wait to get my book. I'm going to highlight this book up.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you got to send me, because I want to get your book and we got to stay in communication.
Yes.
So you have my email, right?
Yeah. No. Tell me.
It's real.
Oh no, I do. I have it on the
but go ahead,
email
Doc.
that we have. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Doc. Go ahead and tell everybody if somebody's watching this, what email.
If somebody's watching, it's real simple. Herbert at herbertharris.com. Herbert, HERBERT at herbertharris.com. Send me your questions, your thoughts, any requests for information. I'm there for you.
And Jay, can you show us the book cover again?
Yes, I can. Oh wait, am I too close? Ooh.
I see it.
Yes.
All right, well, salute that. Hey, Ashe that. We're gonna Ashe that. We want to make sure that your book sells well. Dr. Herbert Harris, Ashe that. We're gonna make sure that people still, because this book has been out and leading and guiding along the way. Ooh, that's an interesting song. Lead me, guide me along the way. For if you leave me, I will not stray. All right. This book has been doing just that for about 10 years now?
Oh, at least that. The original version was about 15 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so late. Oh, okay, I'm gonna catch up though.
Okay, so that's the new message. That's the new message.
That's
15
awesome.
years ago. 14 years ago, a new version.
Yes.
12 years ago, a new version.
Yes.
7 years ago, a new version. Yes. This was 3 years ago, right?
Yes.
A new version.
Yes.
Ooh. So much growth.
That's why we do the Saturday morning calls, because new stuff like that. Our message this week was it was a great message. What was my message this week?
Yeah, it's that mind of a 27-year-old.
Yeah, man. I got
don't do
so
that because you don't know his extracurricular activities.
I got so many things going on. I can't remember what I'm doing. Here we go. Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. Going forward, I heard that. The message this week. We can have some fun. The message this week is: who are you listening to? Who are you listening to? And that, like, once I do it, then we put it in the Success Mentorship Vault, and you can listen to it at any time. But the idea, and I think what you're doing, Brother Sekou, in this whole format, is that you're always listening to somebody, but it's your choice of who to listen to. And so choose to listen to people who uplift you, who enlighten you, who love you. Choose to listen to people who can transform your lives in the way that you want to be transformed. And so this listening is the key. And I'll give you an analogy. When you get on a plane and the stewardess tells you, She says, you know, if we get a drop in pressure, the mask will drop down and put it on yourself first. And you really hear what she's saying. But hearing is just a physical operation. Your ears pick it up. But when you're at 35,000 feet and the plane's real bumpy and she starts giving you the same message, you know, when the pressure drops, the mass will drop down. Now you're listening. Okay, listen is where you hear with intent. And now you're saying, what'd she say? What'd she say? Say that again, please. Okay. And so who we listen to transforms our lives profoundly. So choose the ones to listen to who can help you, who can uplift you, who can guide you, who can love you, who can respect you, and who can help you, who can help make smooth and beautiful your way.
Yes.
All right. I think that was a great way to end things up. Dr. Herbert Harris, thank you for getting on code with us, staying on code, and teaching us the code. Minister Zumbi, keep doing what you're doing, man. Your book is the manifesto, it's the guide, it's the direction that economically we need right now. And Jay, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I was going to say stop effing settling, but you ain't settling.
Yeah, no. I learned because I've been listening. Ooh. To the right people too. Yes. Okay.
All right. And I want to go out with some words from the Queen, the guidance of Ida B. Wells. A Winchester rifle should have a place of honor in every Black home, and it should be used for the protection which the law refuses to give. Just let that I was gonna say melanate, but let that marinate for a second as we continue to fight the injustices that are happening to us. You've been watching Get On Code, so hey, we love you. Thank you for staying. Thank you for watching, and learn the code, get on code, stay on code, share the code. This show was brought to you by Positive Vibes Incorporated, our consulting services. We do credit fixes, we do tax resolution, we lend private money, and debt consolidation. So if you need some of these services, we're waiting here for you. Credit fixes, tax resolutions, private money, and debt consolidation. Make sure you call Positive Vibes Incorporated.